Blog Talk Radio.
Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. I sense your presence. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And in the presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I see aspiring to be free. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. And I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Within and without, above and below, yeah. East, west, north, and south, I sense your presence. Without and within, below and above, yeah. East, west, north, and south, I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I find in tune with the divine. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. For to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, holy angel of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. I sense your presence.
Thank you for joining me here tonight on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. My name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I'm your hostess this evening. You were just listening to a song called I Sense Your Presence. It's by Shemshai. And I do want to extend a welcome to all those that are listening out there because, as some of you have known in the last couple of weeks, our show has been growing tremendously. And we are now streaming live on 3 other networks in addition to Blog Talk Radio here. We are on PEN or Para Encounters Network, TalkStream Live, Streamfinder are all streaming the show live. And we're also going to have the podcast available now both on iTunes and TuneIn.com. So lots of places to find the show. There's also going to be a YouTube version put up so you can share all of those different avenues with people out there that you know. And I just welcome you, whether you're joining us for the first time or whether you're returning. And here at Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, I look at different ways that compassion exists in our lives, how to remove our blocks, resistances, frustrations, and more. And some weeks I will be discussing different aspects of how compassion is in our life and how it affects different areas of our compassion. And some weeks I'm doing more exercises, practical implementations, and most of the times I've got great guests lined up. Matter of fact, there's a fantastic lineup of guests, including tonight's guest, Damien Wynne, and I'll be highlighting different musical artists along the way. Last year brought in Stephen Halpern, Peter Cater, Jill Matson was on the show. Of course, I've also had Claire Hedin on the show, and I'm working on getting a couple of pretty big names this year, too, and some interesting musical artists that bring a different slant to things. So that'll be fun to watch for in upcoming shows. And in my own work, what I do is I focus on helping people find and use compassion in their everyday lives. I've created the Genesis Clearing Statement, which some of you have experienced on previous shows. And if you've missed that, actually, you can go back and catch that in the archives. Kevin Baird, one of our other hosts, did a great show with me before I actually started Activating Compassion, and that was back around fall of 2012. So you can look those up. Those are on my website, JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1.com. You'll find all the archives there. And I've authored 4 books, You, Me, Life, Dreams, and its companion workbook. Matter of fact, just last Wednesday, Daniel, Janice, and Brett did an interview on me on that book. And then my first 2 books, Activating Compassion and its companion workbook. So in addition to that, I've created the Compassion Tour, which is a multi-state nationwide tour, including workshops, retreats, seminars, book signings, and fundraising events. And I'm working on things for 2014. I'm going to have some events coming up that about 8 events I'm working on that I'm planning on doing around the Utah area, southern Utah area. So you can watch for those at JessieAnnNicholsGeorge.eventbrite.com, as well as some other things. I'll be out in the Santa Barbara area early March, and I'll be doing a taping with Bridging Heaven and Earth there. They do make it open for anybody that would like to come in and watch the taping of that show. You just need to contact me and let me know. My email is there at the bottom of the show description if you're interested in that. And just a reminder again, if you enjoyed the show, there's several places that friends, family, and all those great social media connections can find it. Definitely at the same link you came into, but then again through iTunes, TuneIn.com, and YouTube. The show will be available in all of those places as well. And sometimes they're on Para Encounter networks. You can catch an archive show through that area as well. So lots and lots of options there. And also, again, on my webpage, I keep all the archive shows there. Before we get started, as most of you know that have listened to the show before, I like to delve into a nice little book called The 72 Names of God. It's by Yehuda Berg, and Technology for the Soul, as he says it in here, and get a little message for the week, and then this message goes up on my page on the Main Street Universe tab, and then it's there all week for you, and you can definitely check it out and go back and refer to it if you'd like to. So let's see what Yehuda's got for us tonight. And the message he's got is going to be, and as always, it applies. It applies to what we're talking about tonight. Freedom is the name of God that we're dealing with tonight. And the message or the note that he has on this is, as we begin to transform our lives and experience true fulfillment, we are tested again and again. Each test of our ego injects doubt. The optimism and excitement we felt at the start of our journey vanishes. We start to complain. The ego is back. And the insight he gives on this is, as slaves and the children of slaves, the people of Israel were in bondage in Egypt for 400 years. Then came Moses, sent by the Creator. He won freedom for his people. Then he led them on a long and arduous journey, including that famous passage through the Red Sea. Eventually they reached Mount Sinai, where they had a date with destiny. Strangely, however, the Israelites began complaining as soon as they escaped from bondage. They even begged Moses to lead them back into Egypt. How could this be possible? Was the journey through the desert worse than 400 years of slavery? Kabbalah offers a startling explanation for this. The entire story is a code. It is a veiled narrative of individual spiritual transformation. Let's decipher the code. Egypt refers to the human ego, the oldest slave master in history. Any aspect of our nature that controls us is Egypt. Egypt also denotes the seductive trappings of the material world. The moment our spiritual path becomes challenging or uncomfortable for the ego, we long to return to our own personal Egypt, that is, to the lower level of being that we'd grown used to. The path to transformation requires self-knowledge and personal accountability. It's not easy. We're constantly tempted to turn back. Escaping from spiritual bondage means liberation from the enslavement of our own former selves. And the meditation he gives with this is, you perceive the balance and harmony that fills all creation, especially in the hardships, challenges, and tests that you must face throughout life. With the power of this name, you arouse strength to pass all of those tests, to rise to a higher level of being, and to gain the joy and fulfillment that accompany true spiritual transformation. You unlock the chains of ego and achieve freedom. So very interesting, because really when we're talking about light grids tonight, we're going to be looking at setting ourselves free. So pretty good stuff there. Now, the common name, of course, is freedom, but the pronunciation or the actual name on this is Mem Zadek Resh. There you go, Mem Zadek Resh. And again, that'll be up on my page of the Main Street Universe tab on my website. That link's right there at the bottom of the show description. You can catch it there. Now, I want to give you a little bit of lead-in, a little bit of thought to think about here before we bring our guest on tonight and before we go to our break. But this will just give you a little something to think about for what we're talking about. Are you facing life in a rich and balanced way? Are you living free of fears and manipulation? What are you doing to keep your cellular history clean? Each of us consists of an intricately woven energy field that incorporates many things in it. Most of us have a tremendous amount of power within that is never harnessed. Within this field of energy, we find light grids that affect everything in our lives. Working with these light grids is kind of like performing an energetic acupuncture that can run all through our chakras, DNA, and everything that is a part of us. The use of light grids can allow us to completely detoxify fears and programs that keep us ungrounded and out of balance. There is one thing about energy, and that is, if it is underground, you won't be able to harness it for your use, be it healing, transformation, creating, learning, manifesting, or any other purpose. Your energy is likely to be ungrounded if you are finding yourself fearful, controlling, dealing with manipulation, stuck, sad, depressed, blocked, overwhelmed, and etc. Energy is ungrounded when it feels like nothing is working and nothing appears to be going right in your life. According to Damien Wynne, everything that we haven't faced lives in this grid and surfaces as stories in our lives, because the time has come to face the stories. The purpose of having these stories surface is so that they can be cleaned at their very core, while allowing us to carry forward our lessons and wisdom from them. Working with our light grids allows clearing to happen more directly at the core. Now, when we hold on to the stories, our cellular level becomes very weighted and heavy, and this unbalances and ungrounds us. There are many simple grounding techniques out there that can be used. Earthing, walking, and physical exercise, hydrating, those are just a couple. And as we learn to get better at grounding, we are able to cleanse our energy thoroughly and completely, like harnessing energy through a light socket. As energy is harnessed, many people will feel lightness in their energy. Things become easier to do, issues dissolve, we have mental clarity, our senses are heightened, and more. Stress is dissolved into loving heart energy. Life becomes quite rich and balanced. Cleaning the cellular history allows us to live fully in the present, where all blessings are operating with full consciousness. How light is your energy? What stories are you holding on to in your life? How grounded are you living your life? This week, our guest focuses on a component of compassion that is related to the aspect in my books of creating a new world. This reminds us that we have the ability to create a new life for ourselves and those around us. I'm going to take a short break, and when we return, I will have Damien Wynne with us, and he's going to be sharing his work in light grids. And the song that I've got for you during our break today is Waves. It's by Claire Hedin, and again, Claire, you might have remembered her from the end of 2012. We did a show on her, and you can catch that in the archives. And you can also check out more of her work at www.clairehedin.com. That's CLAREHEDIN.com. That's also at the bottom of our show description. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Waves crashing down on me.
welcome back. You are listening to Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, and my name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I'm your hostess this evening. You were just listening to a song called Waves by Claire Hedin, and again, you can check out more of her work at www.clairehedin.com, and that's CLAREHEDIN.com, and I mentioned that for all those people that are streaming live on the other areas besides Blog Talk who can't necessarily see that link, and that includes our areas of StreamFinder, TalkStream Live, and Pen or Pair Encounters Network on there, as well as the TuneIn.com and iTunes, where we now have podcasts available as well. So great to share those things. I'd like to bring in my guest tonight, Damien Wynne, and he is a teacher of how to work with light grids. From a young age, he found a desire and excitement to help people and to learn about life and understand things on a spiritual level. His experiences to explore and learn went everywhere from being out of body and astral traveling to cooking in the kitchen and connecting with plant energies. His experiences led him to understand the value and purpose of grounding in the body and being aware of his earth energy connection. Tonight we're looking at Damien's work with light grids and grounding, and you can find out more about Damien's work at www.damienwynne.com. That's DAMIEN-WYNNE.com. It's also at the bottom of our show description. And getting this mic opened up here. And Damien, it's great to have you here on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour.
Hi, Jessie. Thank you for having me on the show. It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure, and for Damien is here in the U.S. on tour doing a multitude of different events, and if you're in any of the areas, I'm definitely going to let him share that later, because you might want to check out where he's at and what he's got going on, but he's been traveling all day, so I'm deeply in gratitude for his time tonight, to say the least.
Thank you.
And Damien, I would love to have you start off and share with our listeners a little about your background, kind of this journey that you've taken to get into doing this work to now touring internationally.
Yes, Jesse, it started off in 2000, around 2002. Well, actually going back further, I had an accident and I ended up in a wheelchair. And this really broke me down and broke the ego down and broke my fears down, and I was living life for everybody else except myself. And then I had a year recouping after this, and then I had another accident. So I was pretty stubborn, and something fell on my spine, and I crushed my spine. And after that experience, I really had an emotional crash and really went down very low. I was in the business world at that stage. And I was going to work one day, and I had an inner feeling that I was to meet somebody in a particular building when I was driving by each day. And it got so strong that one day I just pulled in the car, and I said, okay, what am I meant to do? I'm, standing outside this apartment block, I'm here, So I got a message to go onto the internet, and I ended up going onto the internet, and I got talking to somebody, and it turned out that person lived in that building. And we finally met up, and it turned out that he had started to do healing work. And I didn't know anything, to be honest with you. I never read anything, but I didn't know anything about healing work at that stage. And he offered a session to me, and I went for a session, and he was working on me, and I really didn't understand what he was doing because he was making no physical contact with me, and I didn't understand it. And just at the end of the session, as I was actually getting bored and my ego was kicking in, there was this explosion in my chest. It was like bricks being released from my heart chakra, and it exploded. This huge channel opened up, and I started vibrating off the massage table, and he actually got thrown to one side, and this went on. It seemed like minutes or more, but I'm sure it was seconds. And I was like, what was that? And he didn't know what it was either, and off I went to work. And later on that evening, I was on the computer, and it started again, and the phone was ringing, and it was from my friend actually, and he was saying, "What did you do?" You know, and I was like, "Well, the same thing happened again." And he was like, "Well, don't do that again." And I says, "Well, what happened to you?" And he says, "Well, he was sitting on his chair at home watching TV with his flatmate, and he got thrown onto the floor, and a current of the channel opened up, and he started vibrating on the floor uncontrollably. And he said he knew it was coming from me. So he says, I want to talk to you. So we met up the next day, and he says, you can do healing work. And I was like, no, I can't. So he grabbed my hand, and he put it up to his forehead, and he says, see? And I says, well, see what? And he had a migraine, and he said, my migraine's gone. You can do healing work. And he says, I want you to work on me. And I resisted first, and then I said, okay, I will do it. And I went back to the apartment, and I started working on him. Well, I stood in front of him, actually, while he was on the massage table, and immediately a laser opened up in my third eye. And it was almost like this huge amount of knowledge immediately opened just behind me. And I sensed it, and I started working with this laser around his body, and his body started vibrating and moving, and I just kept switching the color of the laser, and then I started doing some symbols over him, and he started having this huge transformation in front of me, and I was like, whoa. But it was something inside of, like, I just felt like I knew this. And I became very excited, and we ended up doing exchanges on each other for a few weeks after this, and meeting more people. And each time that exchange, more information would open up, so it was completely different every time. And it became really intense that I was doing this every day, and it took over my life, let's say, in the business world at that stage. And I started to forget about it, saying, wow, this is like a huge new, it was like going into a toy store that I discovered. And it was so exciting for me, and I was experiencing so many different things, and I just kept experimenting and then going into it, and it kept developing until I met through William. He introduced me to somebody else, and it was Janine Torp, and she was making essences at that stage, and I met up with Janine then, and I started making essences as well, and it was channeled energy in bottles in water, and I kept taking these, and these helped me go through my topics extremely fast. So I did this for a number of weeks, and then I got a message to make 27 different essences. And it was interesting how they would start, because I could feel them building up in my spine, and it would go on for days, and then I'd just get a message saying, this is the day you have to make them, and they would tell me the number of essence I would make, and they were completely different. And as I say, there's one time I got calls to go to Janine's and make 27, so I went there and I put out 27 bottles, and then this channel opened up, and each essence we made, and then we got names, and it turned out the names were actually the entities who work in Brazil with John of God. And I got a message well, I didn't know about John of God at that stage, and somebody who was in the house said, well, these names are actually the entities who work with Brazil. So as soon as I heard that name, I said, okay, I have to go there. And the message was that I have to give up my businesses and give up my finances in Ireland, and then go to Brazil, and then after that I'd get a message on where to go. So I was very excited, and I went home, and I was ready to, tell my solicitor, I said, okay, I have to finish up everything, and I'm going to leave. And it wasn't so easy to leave, because there was a few complications in the business, because I was in partnerships to actually dissolve the business and to break it up in a clean way. So this went on for many months, and finally, it was time to leave, and I had cleared my finances, and I had one apartment in Budapest. So I went to Budapest actually, because I said, okay, well, I can rent this one out, and that finances will cover me in the future for when I'm in Brazil or wherever I have to go. So I ended up going to Budapest first, just for a few weeks to arrange the renting and renovation of an apartment. And I ended up on the plane. I was leaving, and I got directed towards a book, and it was cosmic ordering. And I put a few orders on the plane in, and it ended up happening the next day. And I got very excited because we put many more orders in, and everything happened. And I started working with doing individual sessions immediately in Budapest. And also I ended up, my fears about finances came up after leaving everything, and I ended up setting an investment company up in Budapest. And I start working. When I start working, I started to work, be directed with the hands, the feet, and points of the body, and these points started developing, and I had it up to about 120 points on the body that I was directed to work on, and I was doing the sequence. And as people were coming to me, they were having huge healings, actually, and the first people who were coming to me were people that the doctors gave up on, and this was moving extremely fast, and I didn't speak Hungarian, and people were coming in, and I was going through this sequence that I was given, and people were transforming, and very, very fast, and I got busier and busier and busier, and then finally I ended up going to Brazil, it was about a year later, actually, and I went over to Brazil, and the entities there worked with me. And I asked them, I said, I want to commit myself to this work full time. And I gave permission for them to work on me. And I said I want it for the higher good, and I want to devote my life to it. So they said they would. St. Rita came to me in a vision, and she said she would support me. And then Dr. Augusto and many other St. Rita different saints came to me and said they will work with me. And then I went back to Budapest, and they did. They worked with me, and the healings were incredible. They were people were having amazing visions, and they could feel the entities working with them. And this went on for many months, and it was getting very, very intense. And the sessions were very fast. It was like 15, 20-minute sessions, and there were people coming from nowhere. I never advertised or never put the word out. People just found me, and I had up to 10 people a day, coming in, and they were literally healing, and this kept progressing and progressing, and then I got a message saying I need to teach this technique, and I was like, how am I going to teach this to people? And I rang my friend Janine in Dublin. She said, she was very confident. She said, oh, just come to Dublin and I'll put you in touch with a few people and we can arrange a workshop there. So I did. And this very detailed to the technique was a lot of information behind each of the points. I got people to lie down, and I started clearing their resistance, clearing their negative belief system, and then I started sending the information to them, and they downloaded the information, and then I would show them the points, and they knew the information, and they knew how to do it. And this is how the first step of education started. And at that stage, I was doing a lot of group clearings as well. I got a message to give up the individual sessions and only to work with groups. So I started to work with groups, and at that point, then I was given a message I disconnected from Brazil, and I went straight to source. So I need to have my own connection, and I went straight to source, and it started to get stronger and stronger, and the group started to grow. And I have to say, I was working in Budapest at that point, and then I got a message after that to go to Berlin, and my partner at the time was working in Berlin just for a week, and I said, okay, I'll go and visit you, and I ended up going up to Berlin, and when I was there, my past life with Germany opened up, the Second World War, and it was very, very intense, so I really had a difficult time that weekend when I was there, and I went to a friend's house because I wasn't in a good way. I ended up giving him the healing, and I worked with him, and he says, I want to pay you, and I said, well, I don't want any finances for this. So I got a message. He asked me do you want to work in Berlin? So I told him, I got a message saying yes. So he gave me a number. I asked him for a number of somebody who could support the work. And then within the week, I ended up meeting 2 or 3 people, and I returned the following weekend, and I did my first group in Berlin. And then the German workshop started, and I ended up meeting my organizer at the moment, Esther Norman, and we arranged education and the groups just multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, and they're getting bigger and bigger over the years. And it was very, very fast that people were having visions and dreams. I would just arrive in a city, and without advertising or anything, people would just find me or have a vision saying they must come to the workshop or to the groups. And what I started to do was a lot of group work with large groups, and there would be about 3-hour sessions. And within those sessions, we work on many, many different topics. But the way the work developed, it got very, it totally went into the now, and I connect directly with Source. So everything I work with is in the moment and is connected to the divine intelligence. And I'm guided from that point. And this is why I teach people that you can connect to all the information which is inside you, but you go into a very strong, clean connection in the heart, and you're being guided, and the divine works through you, around you. So I started to do these group learning, and then many more educations, and I started working around Germany and then Istanbul and many other countries in England, Dublin, and also here in America. I was told many years ago that I would set up healing centers in many countries, and I didn't understand this information, but I understand it now, because at the moment I've been told that I must work in specific locations around the world and ground frequencies there and teach people how to ground these frequencies. Every time I work, or every time other people work with this, we bring down new frequencies into the field through our heart, and it opens up the field. And in each place I work, I set up gifting, receiving, and many groups that they support the field, and it runs itself in each city that I'm in. So there's many groups in all the cities I work in, and they're continuously working with meditations and giving individual sessions and group work to ground these frequencies. But the work has been developing continuously. I work directly with what the topics are in the field at the moment, and the transition the world is in continuously. So it's every time I never know what is going to happen, and every time it's completely, completely different. I was finding that when I was going to higher frequencies and working with topics, I would have a topic basically, and it would come up again and again, but on a different frequency. And then I was shown that I was asking, well, how do we have to keep having the same topic at different frequencies, or is there a way of clearing it? And then I was shown, well, if you go into the blood, the physical blood, all the memories in the blood, and bring all your aspects back into the blood as well. And when you bring the heart frequency and breathe through the blood and transform the blood, then that line, that crack that was going through all the dimensions is transformed, is cleared. And the health of the person or the emotional body or the topics are basically resolved. And so at the moment, the way the work is at the moment, I'm working with the memory within the DNA, which is, I'll give you an example of it. I started to work with people in Hungary, and I realized that they unknowingly had memories from many generations ago, let's say starvation, or if they go back to the village and the village is burnt down. I could see that these memories were in the DNA. So I started to realize, wow, there's a memory in our DNA of major events from our ancestors. So I started to work with the DNA a lot to transform these memories, and also to go through the coding within our DNA. So I'm working with the DNA, with the memory in the blood and around the blood cell, the membrane around the blood cell. And when I work with the blood and tune into the blood cells, I can see that if there's a sabotage program going on in you, or if there's criticism, or you're not loving yourself, I can see that the membrane, there's like holes in the membrane and the immune system, and you're attacking the cells. So, for example, with somebody who's really ill, or when I tune into them, I can see, wow, there's a lot of sabotage programs going on. And then the astral field starts attacking them as well and feeding off their energy. So I work with the person to go into the memory within the blood and go to the root cause of why this is going on. Where is the criticism starting? Where is the blame starting? Or where is the hatred? So I work on many, many different levels. It can be, I work with all the past lives to the beginning of time, of star lives. I work with the ancestral lines. The ancestral lines are really, really important, and especially with the transition at the moment, because frequencies are so high at the moment, and the sun is so strong at the moment that it's really penetrating deep into our core topics and deep into the past lives we didn't want to look at before. It's like shining this torch and increasing this light on the ground that you can see the finest particles of dust, and they're all showing up at the moment. Excuse me. So with the frequencies of the sun at the moment, it's forcing us to look deep into our topics, and that's why a lot of things are coming up at the moment. And so I work with the memory, as I say, in the blood, and work with the membrane, which has the history of us, the past lives. And when I worked with the blood, I could see that when you transform something, not only do you transform in the blood, it transforms all right, but I start realizing, wow, after a week or two, the topic was coming back. So I went into the nerve endings, and I was looking into the nerve endings, and I could see that the memory was still in the nerve ending, and the nerve endings were recreating the trauma again. So I start working with the nervous system, and start working with the emotional body. As I say, going back to the ancestors, the ancestors, when we broke our connection with, when the inner child, we stopped trusting the inner child, in this life, or many, many lives ago, when I trace back and really go back in deep, I noticed that nearly in everybody, I can see that there's some sort of sexual abuse or some sort of abuse where the spirit leaves the body and gets out in the trauma. And then as the soul is fragmented. And from that point, the abuse energy goes into the person. And this energy sort of runs. It's only a frequency, it's only an energy field, but this energy field needs to run and starts activating in the person. And this is where the criticism, the low self-esteem, and the sabotage starts getting stronger in the person, and it stops you trusting yourself and believing in yourself. And then you notice that, I notice when I look at people, I can see that they're not in the moment, that they're either running ahead or running from something, or else they're in a very passive position. So I work with going back to the very first life, or the very first moment there was some sexual abuse or trauma which created this fragmentation of the spirit, and then bring the spirit back in fully, then clean the field of this old energy, and also then to claim back your innocence, claim back your trust, claim back your emotional body, your feelings. When you do that, then I start working through the past life and transforming it on every level, and also working with the programs, any programs in the mind, programs in the field. But going back to the ancestral lines, because we stop trusting ourselves, we also stop trusting our families, our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our ancestors. We felt alone. We felt completely alone here. I want to get out of the body, or life is difficult because I'm alone. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling sad. So all these feelings start coming in. But when you open up the heart and you only connect, so I'm working at the moment, so I'm working with opening up the heart flame. And when you connect to the ancestors' heart flame, all the way through, and they all go in the divine order behind you. So, for example, the new children, they're ahead of us, or your children, they're ahead of you, and there's space between them. And behind you or beside you are your brothers, your sisters, and there's space between them too. And we're all not connecting to personalities, only to the heart flame, the heart intelligence, the soul intelligence. You feel this great support in front of you. Then you open up behind you the connection with both your parents, and they're with space behind you and between them. And you connect not to the personalities, but to the soul flame. And from the soul flame, you open up all the ancestor connections. And they're all in the divine order behind us, right back to the beginning of time. And this opens up such a feeling of support, of gratitude, of love, of respect. And then you go deeper with it. And then you go into, wow, this huge amount of knowledge from the ancestors. And they're so grateful to us, and they support us. And we can access all the wisdom of our ancestors through the heart flame. So I help people to open it up. And then you can claim back the emotions, the true feelings of the heart, the softer feelings of the heart. Then I work through not only our ancestors in this life, but our ancestors from every life, and all the ancient knowledge of all our ancestors you can activate in the now. When you do that, you start realizing that, wow, everything is inside me, and all the answers are inside me. And you feel this great confidence building up inside in a very clear way, totally grounded, totally in the heart, totally free of fear, totally free of insecurities. And then your spirit will start, you can call any spirit in your soul fragment, and you start claiming back your trust and your emotions from all your life, all your timeline. You start getting really, you expand inside yourself. And you bring all your aspects down into the now, into the cells. And from this field, you have such a great divine power which is inside you. And you realize there's unity between yourself, unity between everything around you. And you connect then to what I was calling before the light grid, but it's divine intelligence. And this divine intelligence, you realize that when you're in the now, and when you're connected to the ancestors in the heart, and when you're connected to this oneness, you realize that you're being guided all the time. When you start trusting, you have this knowing inside you, and step by step we're being guided. And when you meet somebody or walk onto the street, you're suddenly guided to whoever you've to meet, and your whole day becomes rich and vibrant and alive, and there's color. And also when I'm working with you, it's like I support that you also clear all your projections with the eyesight, with the feelings, with the emotions, and these frozen emotions, and you start really feeling and seeing clearly. And from this point, you hold your center and you stay in the now. And from this point, you can transform everything, and you're fully in your power, fully being grounded, and bringing in these new frequencies. I probably went on too much there, Jesse, today.
It's there's a lot of information that's coming in there, and as I'm listening to you, and I can imagine there's also some people out there going, oh my gosh, I never thought there was all of this going on with my body and my system, and right at the end you culminated with why we need to ground this energy, which came around to that's the only place we can use the energy is in the here and now, and the only way to make the energy present is to ground it, if I'm understanding.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And to ground yourself deeper and deeper into the cells. And when you ground yourself deep into the cells, you're grounding these new frequencies. And what I'm working with is to support you that you can reach these new frequencies all the time, but not only when you meditate. We have old tendency of meditating and reaching the high frequencies this way, or leaving the body and going into the higher frequencies. But what I'm teaching is to stay very present and reach those high frequencies. And when you work with Mother Earth and really ground and embody into your body and feel good in your body, from that point you can really hold these frequencies. And this is where things really start opening up in your life.
Well, and I think this is a really valuable point for people, because we do know in these days and times of transition and shifting and starseed energy coming up and all these different healers and light workers and everybody else that are here, that energy can get a little overwhelming. So this is a really valuable point for people that are doing work out there. No matter what type of work they're doing, is going to allow them to expand and be able to hold that energy as we continue to expand.
Exactly. And also what's difficult for people at the moment is that there is many things coming up in our faces which are very uncomfortable at the moment. And when you're in the moment, you transform it. And then what's tricky at this point is the fact that you've transformed, you've changed, and then you're in the unknown. And it's learning to live in that unknown space and feeling safe in that unknown space, because we're not in our comfort zone anymore. So it's like I'm living my life, but not as the Damien yesterday, but as the Damien now. And it's very interesting what happens first when within the groups I can see it, where people suddenly are free of all their old aspects, and then suddenly they start, oh my God, I don't know this, I don't recognize this, and they sort of sometimes go back, they look for their old stuff again, because they know that, and we've been programmed for that. So, but at the moment it's bringing us into a space where it is the unknown, and every time we go back into the old patterns, they don't work anymore. And we plan something and it doesn't work exactly like that. It's changing, it's evolving. And everything's evolving at the moment. And the minute you try and grab it and say, yes, that's it, it's just melting. It's just crumbling from your hands. And it's so fast at the moment. But it's so beautiful to be here at the moment, because it is something new, and it's like painting a picture. The picture is constantly evolving and constantly, it really is. It's changing so fast, and it's so rich. But it's really being present. The only thing I feel you can do at the moment is be present. Practice being present at the moment, and from this point, you will be supported. You will be guided.
And that is a key thing, and I think that it is hard sometimes in these days and times for people to find that present. And I was listening to you as you were talking about the ancestral things, and it's funny you were saying, people go back and they try to dredge up those things, which is exactly what fit in to my message at the beginning of the show, where they said, let's go back to Egypt. It sucked, but we're familiar with it. And yeah. But that doesn't work either. You don't get to go back. Once you've started down the paths, it's not necessarily a going back place, because as you say, you can never really return to what you had before. So even if it was enjoyable before, it's probably not going to be enjoyable now because of these shifts.
Yeah, I have been working a lot, which, as I say, the work keeps changing. In the last few weeks, I've been really pushed to help support people with their past lives, and for me, it's only timelines. It is in the here and now. If it's active in my field, even though it's my past life, it is in the now. And so for me, it's not really going back. It's here and now, and it's affecting me now. So what I do is, the way I see the past lives, it's very simple. It's, for example, if I see it as homework, or that's my homework. So I come down into each life, and I come with a list of homework to do, and say jealousy. could be one topic. So I have jealousy in this life. And when I transform and grow and realize how it feels to be jealous and how it feels actually if a partner's jealous of you and experience it and grow from it, then that topic is clean and I don't need it in the next life. So there's some topics we've had in each life where we haven't grown from them. So what I do is I open up the lives, and it's very simple. It's I work with the heart intelligence, not the mind. And when you open the heart intelligence, there's a vast amount of information you can transform in seconds. It's incredible. So you open up the heart connection, and then you go into the past lives, and you just go through all the different topics of the homework you haven't done. And I perceive them like keys. They're like keys that I dropped. And these golden keys, I'm picking them up, and I'm picking all the jealousy keys up in each of my lives, especially the very first one. And through every life, I'm going through and picking all these jealousy keys up right up to now. And then you feel on every level, on a blood level, on a cellular level, on a DNA level, on a subconscious level, on a conscious level program. So when you allow these keys to go inside you, there's a transformation and you're clean of jealousy. So that's just one example. So you could go through hatred, bitterness, criticism, and sexual abuse. And when you start transforming these, it allows more space in yourself and in your life to be yourself fully. I start when I look at, for example, when people are on a conscious level, I believe, for example, I believe I'm good enough, or I really love myself. But when I'm even on a subconscious level, it's not there. You don't. You've been programmed not to love yourself, or maybe you're past that. Or then you go into the body on a cellular level. Well, maybe your body's not loving yourself. So I work through all the topics, all the belief systems, and I check inside and see where in the body is the jealousy, or where is the criticism? Is it on a subconscious level? Is it on a conscious level? Is it on a body of blood level? And I work with each of these topics. So all your fields, all your bodies, emotional bodies, everything is reading the same frequency, is all in line with itself. And that's what we are being drawn to do, is to really go into the body. And I realize more and more that the memory, everything is in your blood. And all the past life information, everything is in the blood. And from that point, we can transform everything. So for me, the past lives are important at the moment to clear them. We've been pushed at the moment, and I've been getting messages the last few months, as I say, to work with any of our shadow sides and to transform them and to really embrace them and really love them and grow from them without the guilt, without the shame, without the blame. And then we really start expanding. And the transition that's coming at the moment is huge. And that's why it's time that we do acknowledge these gifts. What I called before the homework, they're gifts. And these gifts of being jealous or being criticizing, these are gifts and richness which will make you very deep when you own them and bring them into your heart and transform from them. And it makes you a much deeper, empathic person and spirit. And this is what's happening at the moment. So we can make this transition and be present in the heart and allow these heart frequencies through our emotional body, through our voices, through ourselves into the field. And we are part of this transformation. We are in creation at the moment, and we're all responsible for what we're creating at the moment in the field. So for me, I would always look, if there's a war outside, I'd look for the war inside me, transform that into love, and then I hold that space in my heart of peace. And from that point, the field around me will start transforming. But I must look for everything inside me. I feel that the world is a mirror of me, and on many different levels. And so I look at inside to find it inside me and transform it inside me. And from these heart feelings, the heart feelings are extremely important. This is where we can transform everything in ourselves and in the entire planet. And this is where I feel that we've been guided to look inside, and open up these heart feelings again.
That's a really important aspect, and you talk about these because most people are not thinking about the shadow being the path to the heart, and yet we know in order for us to be free of a lot of these things, we have to find that balance between the harmonies. We have to, the polar opposites. We have to learn how to work with things. And I think society so much programs in a lot of ways that you've got to run from the shadow, right? You've got to set that aside,
Absolutely.
run away from it, and don't deal with it, don't look back, don't look at it, instead of realizing that, hey, this shadow's got some benefits there. It's got something to help you with, and it's not so much that it's there to hurt you, but it's kind of like the moon cycle. When the moon is dark part of the time, and the moon is full and bright part of the time.
Exactly.
And one is, evil because it's not shedding light at that moment. It's just a different energy to work with. So I find that really interesting, and I loved when you brought up the point, too, which I think is a little bit different thought than what a lot of people look at, and that was the aspect that our past lives really aren't in our past if they're if they're coming up in our life now, if those lessons, if those challenges are. So that I thought was a great point to make. And then the other thing, you talked about the ancestors and that we need to reconnect with ancestors and family. And I could tell there's probably a lot of people going, oh, no, not my family. No. I'm running away from that. Don't tell me to go connect with them right now, Damien,
Yeah. I know this one.
And I know that this work, ironically, is very good, apparently, from what I understand, with control and manipulation. And I think that is what separates a lot of families, is control and manipulation pieces. So how do you tie that together?
Well, first of all, I just want to say one thing about the family lines, the ancestral lines. It's not the personality. There's a big difference. When I hold it in the field within the group, you can feel that, wow, it's not the personality, it's the soul of my father. It's the heart of the father, of your mother, of your brother, of your sister. And it feels different, so it feels safe. Now, to go back to your question about the control and manipulation, yes, as I was saying before, when I went back to look where is the source of this control starting, when I was saying about most of it stems back to some sort of abuse where there was a fragment of your spirit. And I'll give you an example. When I was working, I was actually in Istanbul at the time, and a friend was driving me to a workshop I was doing. And we nearly got to the place, and her phone rang, and it was the school calling, and they told her that her daughter was not okay, and you need to collect your daughter immediately. So she told me this, and I just relax for a moment, take a deep breath, and I said, listen, call your mom and ask your mom to pick up your daughter. And within seconds, she said, okay. She got through her guilt, she got through all the stuff. She said, okay, I'll do that. And within seconds then, the school rang, and the school said, well, your daughter's fine. So we went to the meditation. Now, what is happening there is, which I'm perceiving more and more and more, is that the criticism, the blame which goes on in families is only an energy which is psychic and which is evolving very much at the moment. And this energy needs to be fed. You need to feed it with more criticism, with more blame, with more control, with more fear. And it wants you to think to run all the time, to run away from the shadow and keep you in the fear. But actually, when you turn around and face it, and I'll give an example of that in a moment. When you turn around and face it, you realize, wow, there's no power there anymore, and you become very powerful. And this is what this energy doesn't want. So it runs in the family. The criticism, the blame, it's only an energy field which runs in the family. When I look at somebody, or when I looked at myself with this energy, I realized that it was tapping into my nervous system, and it was tapping into my mind. And or somebody blame me, I would emotionally respond to that, and my frequencies would drop, and my body would react with with the hormones and everything, and I would really drop in vibration. And I started looking deeper into this, and I realized, wow, it's an energy field which is tapping into my nervous system, and then it has created programs in my nervous system. So I started to work on cleaning the nervous system. That's what I'm talking about, cleaning the nervous system, cleaning the blood. And when you bring somebody into awareness that this is only an energy field which needs to be fed within the family, within our relationship, then something really transforms. And also, to give you an example on it, if I say to somebody, open your heart, we open the front of the heart, but we forget to open the back of the heart. Now, it's very important to, if your listeners, if you want to try this right now, if you basically imagine this huge light, and you are that light, and you're looking into your heart, and you're looking at the back of your heart now, and just send that light to the back of your heart, to the back of your spine, and just sense what's going on, and then look down your spine, and look around you, inside you. And then go slightly into your field and look into the field. And look into the neck, look into the back of your neck, the throat, and all the way up into the mind. And you'll start realizing that there's an energy that which I see it as the astral, which is when we lost our senses. For me, the heart opens all the way around, and it works through our emotional body, and we sense things. We're very living, vibratory people and beings who can sense everything all the way around. But because we stopped trusting ourselves, we started to search outside. So we went into the eyes, we went into the head, we went into the mind, and we forgot about the heart, and we forgot the heart opens all the way around. When you bring this in, the cells remember it, and then the field transforms. This criticism and manipulation within the family is feeding the energy which is pushing you in fear and making you contract. And it's all about contraction. It's not about joy. It's not about fulfillment. It's not about loving yourself or seeing the best in each other. It's totally the opposite. So it's just an energy field which is in the family. And this is where, as I said before, this is where we have to learn. And when I look into, I just want to bring another awareness in for people. If there's somebody like your parents, if there's brothers, sisters, or partners triggering you, really triggering you at the moment, just bring it into awareness. Maybe you know that person from a past life, and maybe you did something to that person in a past life. And then you start looking at it different. And I don't see us as victims, and for many different reasons that we can transform. We're not victims of our DNA. We can transform our DNA, transform our genes. But when I say we're not victims, if I was abused in this life, maybe I was the abuser in the past life. And maybe the one I was abusing is the one who's abusing me now. Or maybe, so it's all about the teaching. And this is what's going on within the families at the moment. The families are really our teachers. And it's our homework to see what is my mother triggering me with? What is she triggering me with? What is my brother? What is my father triggering me with? How do I feel? Where am I contracting? And to hold a space breathing into the heart and grounding and keep breathing and being aware of these programs. Is it contraction? Is it criticism? Is it blame? And when you go into the heart space and stay present, but not portioning the criticism, not defending yourself, but really breathe into it, then there's no resistance in the field, and then it transforms, and you don't allow this critical energy or this victim energy to work in you or to make you contract, and it starts dissolving from the family, and it starts getting less and less. But as I said before, if it's in your family, if it's coming up, if you're having difficulty in relationships, difficulty in your family, it's not your father needs to change, it's not your mother needs to change, it's not your partner needs to change, it's yourself. And that's what most people don't want to hear. It is yourself, and you are responsible for it. When you transform it within you, then it transforms within the people around you as well, and they start transforming, and they start changing as well. So everything I see is in my life were just mirrors of each other, transforms immediately into the field, and the people around you start transforming as well. They start changing, not because we want them to change, but because we own and transform within ourselves. And so it's to go into a space of being non-judgmental, not to love everyone exactly the way they are, and to hold a space from the heart and not to judge them. And from that point, something really happens. Something really transforms within them. Does that help, Jessie?
It does, and I think that you're bringing up some big concepts that are challenging for people, which is to let go of those. It's a huge foundation of my work to let go of those judgments of people, and I think that that's a hard understanding sometimes for people. Am I needing to use some sort of tough love in situations in order to, as part of this letting go of judgments, or, there's still boundaries sometimes that have to be kept in situations, even though you've let go of the judgments. And I think that that's part of the breakthrough. It's kind of like saying, okay, I have the forgiveness, I've let go of the judgment, but that doesn't mean you get to still treat me however you want to treat me.
No, absolutely not. For me, I can be really angry, but angry from my heart, and that is me making my boundaries, and it will only happen if it's right, if so. People think say about the love. You need to love each other and all this. For me, it's, the love is through every one of my emotions. And I can still love by being angry at somebody who's abusing me, for example, or trying to abuse me. I will set my boundaries very strongly with that person, but it's with love. It's from the heart. I'm not dumping any of my old stuff on them. I'm saying very clearly, this is not okay, and I will not put up with this. And it's really to speak your truth and to live your truth, and to speak it in a way that you're not dumping old things that you wanted to say to your dad or your brother or your sister, but really to the person who's present in front of you. And if you can hold that space of clarity and really ground it, I find that the people I would say incredible things to people that my mind say, oh my God, I can't do that, or I can't say that. But when I say it, it's clear and it's true and it's real. They respond in a very graceful and respectful way, and they transform from that. But I did notice in the past that if I lost my temper and really looked at it, they would react back at me immediately and start, being strong with me then. But I realized then that, wow, I was dumping my old childhood stuff on that person. Probably about 60% was for that particular moment, but the rest of it was from my childhood. And that's where it's not clean, and that's where people react very strongly to you. So it's to go into a space of clarity and truth and really see and feel where you're at the moment, and to see where you need to set your boundaries and to speak your truth. And when you're in that moment, in the relationship, for example, with somebody, and you feel immediately, no, that's not okay, then I will say it immediately. I won't wait till till tomorrow or next week and say, oh, well, it's not that bad. I will say it immediately and give the person a chance to correct it immediately or transform from it. And that's my truth. In my childhood, I wouldn't say it at all. And then I would explode when it gets way out of proportion. But as I get finer and finer and my sense to get more and more and more, I can sense immediately if there's something not correct. And I will say to the person, and from that point we can transform it. And at that point, both of us can grow from it. And I'm not going to dump it then on somebody else. I'm going to deal with it in the moment and grow from it. And you start realizing then that every single thing that is happening to you in every single moment of every single day is for you to grow. And the divine is working in you, around you, through everybody around you to help you grow. And your topics are very important for you, and you are getting a tailor-made day to help you expand on your particular topics. So as soon as you realize that, wow, everything that's happening to me in my life, every day is about growth. Even though it may not feel very nice, it's about growth, because this is something that I wasn't willing to look at before, I wasn't willing to grow from. And when I bring that into my realization, I realize, wow, I'm growing from this. And if I do this now, I don't need this experience again. And then I have another new experience. And when I brought that into my reality, it transformed my whole life. And it made my life very exciting and very rich, because I realized that, wow, this is all new and fresh, and I'm growing from it. And when I grow from it, I realize that I don't have that experience, or if I do have experience, it's slightly different the next time. But when I block it and say, no, that's not me, that is her fault, that's when it keeps coming back in my face. And my spirit will find, if I stop hanging around a particular person because I don't like them, spirit will find another person with the same topic, the same lessons, and it will repeat and repeat and repeat till I own that topic within me and transform from that topic. And from that point, then I will be through it, and then I don't need this teaching anymore, and I'm out of that field.
Yeah, it's so interesting that we get locked into those things, and these grids are just the way the energy travels through us, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
It's kind of like a fabric that's all woven together, and every strand of that piece of fabric is part of that grid, and it has energy running through it. And we do know more and more, and we've learned. Matter of fact, I had somebody on last year in the fall that also talked about the nervous system, how the hair on our body, for example, is such a huge transmission of energy, and this all connects back into the nervous system, which is what you're reaffirming here too. And this is one of those things that why, when we're not dealing with things, when we're not turning around and facing that shadow, as you've talked about, when we're not taking these opportunities to learn and to heal in the moment with what's coming up in the moment, that's why our nervous system becomes shot. That's why we start literally having those nervous breakdowns and other things, because the energy is interrupted, and then the body gets weak because the energy isn't being transmitted, kind of like energy not coming through a light socket.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. No, I agree about the hair actually connected with the nerve endings. I perceive that as well. Absolutely, yeah. And also, if you have a belief system that you don't trust yourself, you're sending that same belief system to your cells and to your immune system and to your nervous system, and it's in your body, it's in your field, saying, I don't trust myself, I don't trust myself. And the cells start reacting in a different way. But when you bring the trust back into the cells, then they start really working, and they work in this unity together, and they support each other. And this is where you start really transforming. And the nervous system is, because you didn't trust yourself, the nervous system is not grounded. And it's just like electricity, it needs an earth connection. And we need to be grounded, otherwise our nervous system is being fried at the moment, especially with the frequencies coming in. So it is difficult on the physical body with these new frequencies. And when we're not truly in the heart frequency, it's definitely affecting the body. And so, as you say, it is the grid, and the grid needs to be cleaned and live and allow it to expand and flow the way it's meant to flow.
And, this trust, so many things come back to that trust, which most people miss, I think, a lot of times. They miss that they're not trusting themselves on some level. When we get into these challenging situations, it's really ourselves that we don't trust to put our foot down and stand strong in these situations. So I think you've really touched on a big piece in relation to that, and this whole energy, the whole way the energy works. And of course, yes, as you say, when we're not trusting ourselves, we lose our sense of being grounded, which is huge, which is really, really huge. And so and I think this is big today too. And I'm kind of like you. My work is always shifting and changing. There's always different things in it, and I'm always adjusting it and taking on new dimensions and different things. But the trust is a huge piece, because I think there's so many people today that feel like they're missing that through the insecurities. They're looking at the times today and they're going, man, there's an awful lot of people out of work. I don't know from day to day, even though I've been here for 15 years in this job, I don't know if I'm going to have it tomorrow. There's a lot of lack of trust going on. On a big scale.
Mm-hmm.
So what you talk about the grounding a little bit, and I'm thinking that maybe people can do that. This is something that they can do a little bit on their own, as well as receive as a transmission. I always believe, hey, if you can sit back and receive it from somebody, you're going to have a bigger impact in a lot of ways. But, what do people do when they're hitting these spaces? What specific action should they be doing?
For me, everything that I support and everything that I'm teaching is about self-empowerment, and it's to find the answers, to find your own answers inside you and the divine connection within you, and to find that trust in you. And so what I can do a slight, very simple meditation now, just to open it up in people, if that's okay with you, Jessie.
And
if you like.
Yes, I would love that. And before you jump into that, I've got a question that ties into this, which is, does our self-image affect how we can do energy work? And this is coming from the chat room.
Absolutely, yes. This is why, I work with somebody to support them that you really don't care what people think of you. And if, for example, if I'm working now and I have to prove to you or prove to the audience what, that the work is good, or, you must come to my seminars, then I'm not in my power, I'm not in my trust, I'm in the ego. And I can connect, and everybody can connect to healing people physically, spiritually, but more physically. But for me, that's not clean. So for me, you should work through your issues till you feel so confident in yourself that you really believe in yourself and you're not trying to impress somebody, and you let all your masks down. And when you're in that space, in the heart space, that's where the confidence comes in. So by simply breathing into your heart and grounding your heart, you're present in that space, and something really opens up then. And that's where you start trusting again. And you have to work through, for example, if there's insecurities, like you've got the rent to pay, or the mortgage to pay, and I must have clients. That's another weak point. So I had to work through all my weak points or all my temptations, just to see, okay, am I trying to show something? Am I trying to prove something? Do I have some money topics going on? All the different points I would work through till I'm clean of them all. When I would say clean, I mean neutral with them all. That it doesn't matter if somebody comes tomorrow to the group, or if it's full house, that's great. But everything's neutral. Okay, if I lose this work, for example, all the time I'm letting everything go. I went through a cleansing process there 2 weeks ago, where I said, okay, I've got a year and a half schedule lined up, and the workshops are all booked. And I said, okay, I let all the workshops go. I let my work go. I let my personality go. I let my relationship go. And I went through a process of really, really letting everything go. And from that point, then you open up a space for new things to come in, and you're in this neutral zone, the 0 point. And that's when your power comes in. That's when things really work for you and really transform, because there's no fear. There's no insecurities in that field. It's really real. And another thing I just want to say as well is that there is an old belief system, that we must be strong, we must be tough. But for me, my strength is my insecurities, is my feelings, is my emotions. And so it's totally against my programming that I would have had from growing up. Don't cry, don't show your emotions. For me, it is important to, if I feel like crying, I will cry. If I feel like laughing, I will laugh. If I feel like being angry, I will be angry. So this is where I feel everybody's power is, when you really own your emotions and are true to your emotions and show them this is your real strength. And this is when you can really connect with people and grow and absolutely transform. So for me, it's important to work from that space. And I think for anyone who's doing this type of work, I think I would recommend everyone to work from that space of being completely genuine and real in every moment. And if, for example, I have got a personal topic going on, it's in the field anyway. And I realized more and more within the group work that whatever topic I have going on that week, when I work on it, nearly every single person in the room has the same topic with their own fragrance on it. But it's the same topic. It's a field topic. So if we're not completely real with our emotions and what's happening in our lives at the moment, then you're not in that flow, and you're not connecting to that unity which is in us and around us. Does that help?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that. That's
good.
That really brought a lot of things home. So let's go ahead and move on to that exercise that you have for us.
Okay, great. So I can just do a short meditation, just to really, so your listeners can feel into what's going on. So, okay, if you imagine a diamond in the center of your heart and breathe light into the diamond and expand the light. Good. And keep increasing the light, okay. Good. And now if you can imagine there's diamonds in every cell, and breathe into the light in every cell. Every cell is important. Every cell is light in it and is expanding within this light. And now we're going to keep breathing into the heart space. And as we did earlier, imagine a light and look into the back of your heart. your spine, into your shoulder blades, increasing the light, and the light getting stronger, and you're going down to your sacrum, and bring the light right the way down into the groin, all the way through the hip, and bring the light all the way down through your body into your feet. Good. And keep increasing the light inside you, and scanning the light all the way around you, and working up into the brain, all the way around the crown, and out into the field. Okay, good. And now we're going to just open the connection with the ancestors. Okay. And imagine the children, your children or future children are in front of us, and there's space between you and them. And we're only connecting to the heart frequency, the soul frequency, not the personalities. Okay, good. And now the future children are coming in stronger, and there's more of them coming in. Keep breathing into your heart. Expanding your heart. And now beside her, the brothers, the sisters, the souls up in the light flame of them. And that's beside of the space. Breathing into your heart. Good. And now your parents are behind you with space. Oh, not the personality. And it's soul thing. Breathe into your heart. Okay. And then on your father's side, you can ask all the ancestors, both the male and female side of your father, to go into the divine order behind you. Behind you. Right at the beginning of time, behind you. Read your heart space. And we'll read not the personality, only the soul information, the heart flame. Behind you, in the divine order. They almost go into the divine order behind you, the heart flame. And the same over your mother's side. And they're all going in the same order behind you, in the divine order. With the male, female, on the other side. Behind you. Breathe into your heart. Light space. You can open up the emotions in the heart. Feelings. And I'm grateful. It's important to be grateful. I'm grateful for my ancestors. I'm grateful to activate this knowledge inside my heart. Breathe into your heart. I'm grateful for the future children. Into your heart. Expanding the heart. Good. Now we're going to connect your first star. And so the first star in information on the DNA level. Second star. Job family. Connection to water, fire, earth, and deeper into Mother Earth, the soul, the heart of Mother Earth. And breathing Mother Earth and activating Mother Earth in yourself. Good. And we're going to go to source, the highest of frequencies in source. And we're going to go higher and higher and higher and higher to the purest divine frequencies. I'm bringing them into yourself now. Bringing them into the earth, into the field of the earth. Deep into Mother Earth. Light and space in yourself. And we're going to open up the memory in the blood now. And the DNA. emotional body. And I want to work on if there's frozen emotions. So first we're going to work on releasing any anesthesia energy from the emotional body. Breathe into yourself, the emotional body, and that's transform in the breath. And I want to work with the first life where you brought the split in with the inner child, where the inner child was created, the very first life. And imagine you're picking up these golden keys which you had dropped. And I'm going to work with all the keys you dropped. And all the keys about the inner child where the split started. And going deeper and deeper into your past life. Okay, now I'm just imagining you picking up these keys now. And we're going to work in the blood level, emotional level, subconscious level. And we're picking these keys up. In the very first life, there's a very big key, and turn the key and bring it into your heart. And now we're going to keep picking up the keys from every single life. About the split of the inner child, rejection, all the keys on rejection. And keep bringing it into your heart. Very good. It's getting less and less and less. Keep bringing it into your heart. Bringing it into your heart. And it's nearly finished. And we're working subconscious level. Collecting all the keys. Bringing it into the heart. Programs, the keys in the programs, transforming into the heart as well. Breathing from the mind into the heart. And relax. And it's done. It's done. It's done. And breathe, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Raising your frequency, bringing more joy into yourself. And now claiming back your emotions and your feelings in those lives. Soul fragments. Claiming back the joy. Claiming back your innocence. Claiming back your trust. Breathing yourself. Owning your trust. Owning your innocence. Owning your joy. Claiming back your childhood. And grounding it. Grounding all your aspects. And I'm just going to work with self-worth. Any topics of self-worth. The very first life, you felt unworthy. You start trusting yourself this life. And I'm going to own all the keys of self-worth. Low self-esteem, all the keys, very first life. Turning them, bringing them into your heart. All the keys of low self-esteem in each life, very first life and every life after that. And bringing them into your heart. Breathing into your heart and owning these keys, all the top of self-worth. Bringing them in, subconscious level, conscious level, blood level, DNA level, self-worth. Handing it over to your higher self, 100% permission to your higher self to own all the keys of which you're not picking up and bringing them into your heart, 100% permission to your higher self, grounding them, and claiming back your self-worth and emotions and feelings in every life, and claiming back your power from everyone you gave it to. Take back your power. Take back your power. Take back your gift. All the gifts you left behind in different lives you gave to others, own them now. Bring them out into your heart. Grounding your higher knowledge. Grounding all your aspects. grounding all your feelings and emotions of the heart. Grounding your joy, your divine connection, the unity in the self. And I want to just connect with the creators of the universe. We're going directly to the creators of the universe, going higher and higher and higher and higher. And we make the connection with the creators of the universe and bring them into ourselves, activating divine intelligence in the cells now, in our blood. Bring down more aspects of ourselves. Calling back our strength, our power from every life. And I'd like to clear if on some lives we have been in a trance state and we haven't fully come back into the body now, and it sort of makes us a bit, it's almost like we're in a dazed state. So if there's some lives where, for example, in Egypt, where we work in a trance state and we're not woken up from that trance state, if there's an aspect of it still in our life, I'd like to call that part of us back and to complete the work. So anyone who is in a trance state in Egypt or any other life, to complete any of those contracts and to call all our souls back, all our aspects back, and our conscience back, and to wake up. If it's good work, and it's complete, and it's for now, all the information is for now, and I'm grounding, and I'm waking up now, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for these teachings. I'm grateful for now. And I'm going to bring back from those lives my knowledge. And from every life, I'm bringing in all my knowledge. And from all my ancestors, I accept more knowledge. Breathing into your heart. And grounding all my higher knowledge into my heart. Owning my connection with Source, with the Divine, and with Mother Earth in the heart. And now we connect with super intelligence, super consciousness. Going higher and higher and connecting with super consciousness. And once again, grounding and owning our trust on a deeper level, sacred trust. Calling back our sacred trust. Calling back our innocence and light. Awakening aspect. Our Christ aspect. And raising our frequencies. There's a lot more space in ourselves now, so we can raise our frequencies. And breathe light into ourselves. And there's almost like this, when we're asleep at night, we go traveling and we go searching and doing different work. And we don't come back because we feel we haven't completed the work. So any of those aspects of us which is out, we can call them home now because we need to bring that knowledge in now. It's for now. So calling back all subconscious, all levels of us. And grounding this knowledge in the heart. all our aspects coming home through every life, every dimension, every timeline. Breathe light into yourself and light between yourself. And now, if you imagine the blood cell and the membrane around your blood cell, if you release the membrane into light around all your cells, just imagine you're peeling off the blood cell, the membrane around your blood cells, and it's transforming into light. And breathe light into your blood cell. Because every blood cell is important to release the membrane. And also do the same thing with the nerve endings. The membrane around your nerve ending. Peel it off and transform it into light. Good. And also imagine you're peeling a membrane around your brain off as well into light. And this membrane goes down through your spinal column, nervous system, and keep peeling that off as well. And it's transforming into light. And then imagine you're peeling off like a snake skin from our skin. And we're peeling it off all the way around our whole body. And it's a beautiful, fresh skin underneath. And walk out, step out of it completely. And you're in your power. Good. And just with the eyes, it's like if we saw any trauma, that memory gets locked in the eyes. So we're going to work with the eyes a little. If you breathe into your eyes and imagine just breathe back into the eyes, back. And any fear that's in our eyes, and transform it. Any hatred in the eyes, and transform into love. Jealousy. And we're going to keep cleaning the vision so we don't project anymore. Cleaning the eyes and grounding the eyesight. Now working with all the senses and all the projections, all the senses, cleaning them into the real. And transforming all the history which are on your senses. Any memories which are not serving you anymore. And transform them into love. Everything's transforming into love. And if you can breathe into your kidneys, the light. And if you imagine the kidneys, underneath your kidneys is this beautiful cushion. And the kidneys are above the cushion. They're too up. They're up too far. So imagine, just let them relax and open. Just relax into this cushion. Allow your kidneys, breathe into your kidneys, and let them relax into the cushion. They're supported. It's like a womb around your kidneys. And let them relax. Do it. Relax. Do it. And then they can relax. Now they can open more as they breathe into them again. Now we call back in the soul of our kidneys, and the soul presence of the kidneys. Or if anyone was to take the energy from our kidneys, we put a glass, imagine a glass wall around our kidneys so nobody else can use kidney power, only us. Good. Breathe into the kidneys, increase the light. Good. Now I want to bring in a particular energy, and this energy is the space which is between the stars in the universe. Now we need the space that's inside it, but we need to bring it in again. Now we're in the space between the stars. And breathe into the blood, breathe into the cells, and relax. And everything's transforming. Everything's transforming. And just once again, if you can look around with light into the back of the heart first, decreasing the light. And keep increasing the light, and you feel looking, scanning in your body with light. All the way through the mind, the brain, light. Right from the heart to the mind. Good. Increasing the light. Now we can keep taking a higher frequency. You're into higher frequencies. Much more space in us. Go with our frequency and grounding the frequency. And relax. And relax. Owning all your aspects inside you. Calling in all your aspects. Calling your soul fragments. Grounding your emotion body, all your body. I am. I am. I am. I'm bringing in grateful. I'm grateful to my ancestors. I'm grateful for this transformation. I'm grateful for my gift. I'm grateful for my body. I'm grateful for my blood. I'm grateful for my heart. I'm grateful for my thighs. I'm grateful for all my feet. And the little eyes in between your joints, facing your joints. And grounding. Grounding. Bringing your toes, stretching your toes, your hands, your touch, coming fully into the body. Going deep into the body and relax. Being awareness and all your senses to the now. Just the 0 point in yourself. Being yourself. Everything to the now. And grounding. Just grounding your emotions. Grounding all your senses. And relax. Just deep breath and relax. That was just a little bit on how I work, Jesse.
Wonderful. And, you know, we're literally down to just a couple of minutes. So I know it's going to take a little bit of time to come back. And I want to definitely express a tremendous amount of thanks to you, Damien. And Damien is out in the San Francisco area right now with his work. And I don't want people to rush back, so I'm going to kind of move through our last couple of minutes here. There is a link to his website, which is www.damien-wynne.com, and that will lead you on to where you can connect with, where he's going to be when. It's got his list of schedule and events and everything while he's here in the States, and I just so greatly appreciate you being with us tonight, Damien.
Thank you, Jesse. It was a pleasure, and I greatly appreciate the work you're doing here. It's fantastic what you're doing in grounding these frequencies and supporting the field to open to bring many people onto the show. So thank you very much for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And I do want to mention that next week on the show we will have Susan Gale, and she is going to be discussing how to understand, develop, and work with psychic and intuitive abilities. It's going to be a very interesting show, and even though she's worked a lot with children, she also has these principles that also work with adults and developing their gifts as well. I want to say a special thanks to everybody that's tuning in from the other networks, tuning in live from Penn, Para Encounters Network, TalkStream Live, StreamFinder, as well as those that are going to be listening to these in podcast areas such as iTunes and TuneIn, and also those that will be catching this through the YouTube version. It's really been a pleasure here. You've got the links at the bottom of the show description as well for my work here, and I want to mention we've got several shows here on Main Street Universe throughout the week. Sunday nights, Darren Becaire, who's a reader at Madame Laveau. He does spiritual insights. Monday nights, Kevin Baird, Walking on the Sidewalks with Horizon Oracle Journeys deck. Tuesdays is Weeds. Wednesday is our flagship show with Daniel, Janice, and Brett doing different topics and discussions and guests there. Thursdays we have Queen Mother Amaku, and of course Friday nights is Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. This is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. I certainly appreciate Damien and the work he's done. If you missed any part of this, please go back and catch it in the archives. I look forward to seeing you back here next week as we delve more into activating compassion. And don't forget that if you've enjoyed the show this evening, share it with others. We had an amazing experience here with Damien, and, share that with the other people that you know. It's going to be available at the same link in this archive, and I wish you a very blessed rest of the weekend and hope that you have an absolutely amazing week. Thank you so much.